Greetings, true believers, and welcome to another uncanny episode of History of the Marvel Universe. This tale begins in a London basement in 1928. Inspired by the notorious biologist Nathaniel Essex, a young man by the name of Herbert Edgar Wyndham worked tirelessly on his radical research. Wyndham believed that he could develop a machine capable of mutating the genetic code of a living specimen, transforming them in a way that emulated millions of years of evolution. However, operating out of his mother's basement and spending the entirety of his father's inheritance, Herbert Wyndham's resources were running low and his successes were few and far between. Fortunately, his family was able to scrape together enough money for him to attend a genetics conference in Switzerland, where he could rub elbows with other noteworthy geneticists, such as Władysław Szyński and his protege, the Austrian scientist Ernest Zola. One should note that both of these men will also have major impacts on the future of the Marvel Universe, as Szyński will become a member of the enclave of rogue scientists responsible for the creation of Adam Warlock, while Zola would join forces with the Nazis during World War II and become one of Captain America's deadliest enemies. This genetics conference is also where Herbert Wyndham first met Jonathan Drew, an American zoologist who specialized in arachnids. Wyndham and Drew got to talking and got to drinking, and a friendship quickly formed between them as Drew encouraged Wyndham to pursue his research. Szyński, however, advised caution, warning that rapid mutation without a full understanding of the genetic code could have disastrous results. However, Wyndham would make unparalleled progress in his work after being gifted a stack of papers from a mysterious cloaked benefactor. These papers contained genetic research unlike anything that had been accomplished by human scientists. This is because the mysterious figure was, in fact, Fader, a member of the hidden race known as the Inhumans. I talked about the origin of the Inhumans in my video on Kamala Khan, but essentially they're a technologically advanced offshoot of humanity created by the alien race known as the Kree. Fader had earned the ire of the Inhumans Genetic Council when he was caught performing illegal cloning experiments. Losing his own position on the council, Fader left, leaving behind a stillborn clone of himself to fake his death. And so, in order to see his research come to fruition, Fader passed on his knowledge to humans he suspected could make use of it. Humans such as Herbert Wyndham. And by 1930, Wyndham had secured a scholarship to Oxford University so he could make use of their resources. However, he was more concerned with his own projects than his schooling, and in an attempt to continue in the face of his slipping grades, he presented his genetic accelerator to his professors. Unfortunately, his professors thought him mad, dismissing his ideas as outlandish and preposterous. An angry outburst from Wyndham caused him to be expelled, forcing him to return to his mother's basement. However, it was there, at long last, that Wyndham's machine had its first successful trial, transforming his Dalmatian Dempsey into a humanoid form. Confused and disoriented by its new body, the dog bounded away, only to be shot and killed by a pair of hunters. Wyndham knew that if he was to continue his experimentation, he would need to do so somewhere away from prying eyes and interference. And so he met with the one person he felt he could trust, Jonathan Drew, along with his wife Miriam and their daughter Jessica. Jonathan had his own radical theories that he wished to pursue, namely the belief that he could use spider DNA to strengthen humanity against the effects of pollution and radiation. And as luck would have it, Miriam Drew had recently inherited a space of land in the Balkan nation of Transia, where the two men could pursue their research unhindered. In another stroke of luck, Wyndham and Drew discovered large deposits of uranium hiding beneath Mount Wundagore, the value of which allowed them virtually limitless finances. They purchased more of the neighboring land from a nearby baron, Gregor Rusoff, and enlisted a German rocket scientist named Matthew Horace Grabscheid to design their citadel of science. As another side note, Grabsheed would later change his name to Grayson and go on to father Robert Grayson, the 1950s hero known as Marvel Boy. One night, while Wyndham, Grabsheed, and Drew were going over their plans, a scream was heard from Jessica's bedroom. Rushing off to investigate, the men learned that the child had supposedly witnessed someone, or something, under the glow of the full moon. Not wishing to take chances, Wyndham and Jonathan went out to investigate, and while they did not find the true culprit that night, when the men took separate paths, Wyndham once again encountered his mysterious, inhuman benefactor. Leading him to his mind, Fader presented to Wyndham the subterranean offshoot of humanity known as the Moloids. As another gift to Wyndham, Fader had trained the tirelessly obedient Moloids to respond to commands in English, as they would be the perfect workers to construct the fortress Grabsheed had designed. And while Wyndham never saw Fader again, he was more than happy to use these boons in furthering his goals. Everything seemed to be falling into place, but tragedy soon struck when young Jessica fell ill while playing with a boy named Philip. Wyndham quickly deduced that the cause was radiation poisoning and placed Jessica into suspended animation to slow her decay. The only thing capable of saving her life was Jonathan Drew's experimental spider serum. However, the time it would take to be effective was more than Jessica had left. Wyndham suggested using his own genetic accelerator to expedite the process, but Miriam resented the idea of her daughter being used as a test subject. The grief-stricken mother walked out into the night to clear her head, and hours later, when she still hadn't returned, Jonathan convinced Wyndham to come with him to search for her. That night, under the light of the full moon, Herbert Wyndham discovered the mangled corpse of Miriam Drew. Looking around to investigate, Wyndham saw a humanoid beast lurking in the moonlight. However, the creature fled almost as soon as Wyndham caught sight of it. Furthermore, Wyndham kept the truth from Jonathan Drew, fearing he would blame Miriam's death on the Moloids if he knew what he'd seen. Distraught over the loss of his family, Jonathan disappeared, leaving his unconscious daughter in Wyndham's care. As another side note, while Jessica Drew remained in suspended animation for decades, undergoing treatments from Wyndham's genetic accelerator, she eventually emerged and took on the costumed identity of Spider-Woman. As for the boy Jessica was playing with, Philip Masters eventually used the radioactive clay found at the base of Mount Wundagore to become the villainous Puppet Master. But what was that strange creature that attacked Miriam Drew? And did Herbert Wyndham ever succeed in his mad experiments? I'll find out the answers to these questions and more in the next episode as we continue the origin of the High Evolutionary. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share the video, and subscribe for more Marvelous content. Be sure to leave a comment letting me know what Marvel hero or villain you want to hear about next, and as always, the issues referenced in this video are listed in the description below, if you would like to read them for yourself, as well as links to other places you can find me. So until next time, true believers, Excelsior!